Um, Dalton Dennis.
Your Honor, I don't see my client, but he was in the municipal court this morning on an unrelated case. I've asked for just a little bit of time to try to get a hold of him.
Okay.
Thank you.
What about the expunction? Do we need, I got Mr. Aguilar here.
Yes, Judge.
Do we need a hearing on this?
I mean, does the state oppose it?
The state does not oppose the expunging, Your Honor.
Okay.
I don't think we need a hearing on it. Then I filed a proposed order this morning.
Okay. It's an e-file. I did see it, so I held on to it until this hearing. So I'll make a note on the docket sheet and sign it here momentarily. Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Which I guess that leaves us with the last one that I saw, other than we get to Mr. Dennis, but Carlos Clemens.
Hold on one second. Ms. Gatewood, you're done, Ms. Gatewood. You can get off now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry about that, Judge.
Nope, no problem. Have a good day.
I'm here.
Oh, you're still here. That's right.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing, ma'am? If you could just mute yourself till they call us.
Okay, just mute myself. I'm sorry, I just needed to get correct.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have Carlos Clemens here?
Yes, Your Honor. He's here.
These are what, motions to hold bond insufficient?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, we will go. Do you need an opportunity to speak to your client before we start?
No, Judge. I spoke to him yesterday.
Okay. We'll go on the record and cause number D40697, D40699, both style state versus Carlos Clemens. I have counsel for both sides present. Defendants present. These are motions to hold bond insufficient. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the court signed a 1716 on both of these cases some time ago, but I could be mistaken. Yes. Okay. And so this is state's motions to hold bond insufficient. The state may proceed with opening.
Your Honor, we're just here to make sure that the community is safe and that we have the ability to contain the damage and contain the chaos, for a better lack of word, that's happening around this person and what's going on. And so we've got to be able to keep a bond on him so we can keep conditions on him. And the state is willing to have all the information provided to the court to make that choice. Carlos Clemens has been on bond. Like, let's see, he got arrested, got out on bond, got arrested, got out on bond, got arrested. And each time there's a gun involved in it, and there's shootings involved. And the community is not safe if he is allowed to continue to get out on bond, out on bond, out on bond, out on bond. And therefore, the state has brought this motion to make sure that we can get a better handle on the situation. If bond is there, there need to be some very strict conditions put on him.
Okay. Before I turn it over to the defense for an opening, Ms. Schumer, you indicated that he's been in and out on bond. Do you,
Yes,
I only show one bond in the court's file. Have there been other bonds made?
there was the bond with, well, there was a bond and that bond has been revoked. There was the tampering charge that he got a bond for
Yes. ma'am.
$10,000. And then he got a bond for evading arrest on $5,000.
Okay. All right. I'll turn it over to the defense for an opening.
Judge, Mr. Clemens is 17 years old. He's a junior in high school. The first place that Mr. Clemens should be is in school, Judge. I mean, I think it's crazy that with Mr. Clemens being in jail, that the state wishes to increase his bond to try to keep him in jail, Judge. And if you look at his charges, there's an attempted tampering with evidence that we're here on today and an evading in a vehicle. And then the new charge he picked up is a tampering with evidence and an unlawful carrying of a weapon. I mean, there's no robberies, there's no drug dealing, there's nothing like that. And also all of these things are only alleged. I mean, he hasn't been convicted of anything. He has a clean criminal record. And trying to raise his bond, he actually has the highest bond on a tampering with evidence charge right now in the jail at $25,000. The closest one to that is $15,000. At 17 years old, it's not a rebond, it's a first bond at $25,000. And he also has the highest bond on unlawful carrying of a weapon. His bond is at $10,000. The next closest is $2,500. Like I said, we're talking about a 17-year-old kid here. No robberies, no aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, nothing like that. Judge, with that, let's proceed forward.
All right. The state may call us first witness.
The state will call Sergeant McKinnon.
All right, sir, if you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right,
Would you state your name for the record?
Detective Sergeant Dan Mackin, Force County Police Department.
And how long have you been with the Course County Police Department?
15 years.
And what are your primary responsibilities?
I'm a supervisor of a criminal investigations division.
Okay. And
So
you
kind of faded out, criminal investigation, and then you faded out.
I'm the supervisor for criminal investigations division.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And in your responsibilities and your duties each time, have you come in contact with the defendant, Carlos Clemens?
Yes, we have.
And how has that contact been happening?
Excuse me. It initially began, I believe, about October of 2020, when we had a shooting at Unit Park. Numerous rounds were fired. A couple different subjects were injured. His name ultimately came up in that situation as somebody who actually fired one of the rounds.
Objection hearsay, Your Honor. I mean, Your Honor, because this is a hearing to increase bond, the rules of evidence actually apply, Your Honor, according to 101E3C.
I'll sustain rephrase.
Have you had an opportunity to come in contact with Mr. Clemens in more than one criminal investigation?
Yes.
And in those criminal investigations, have guns played a priority?
Objection leading.
Oliver, I don't think you let her finish the question. So finish the question and then I'll see if it's leading or not.
Has guns that played a part in most, if not all, of those investigations?
Yes.
Oliver, that was not leading.
Okay.
How many times, ballpark, would you say, I apologize, Your Honor, I take that question back. In the most recent occurrence with the defendant, was there a gun involved?
Yes, there was.
This is a charge of tampering, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, he was charged with tampering as well as unlawfully carrying a weapon. The tampering charge came from him trying to
Objection non-responsive.
finding the weapon.
I'll sustain.
Okay. So when when Mr. Carlos has his interaction with you, is this during, what time of the day is it, these things usually happen?
It's been, his name has come up in situations anywhere from the afternoon to middle of the night.
Okay. So has he ever been in school when you had to go find him or get him or
Yeah.
detain him?
He actually, as a matter of fact, he dropped out of school December 18th of last year.
So from your understanding and your investigation, he's not currently in school?
No.
Okay. In regards to the tampering charges and the dating charges, has the same people been around him in most of those cases?
Yes, the same names continuously come up in all these investigations involving shootings.
Okay. And are most of these shootings like in a little, like somebody's backyard, or are they in the public where other people could be in danger?
Out in public view, and as a matter of fact, one of the most recent shooting incidents, an innocent third party was actually struck.
Objection, non-responsive.
I'll sustain.
Do you, in your professional opinion or your expert opinion, since you have been doing this for a long time, feel that Mr. Clement?
Objection, he has not been qualified as an expert at this time, Your Honor.
Okay.
Well, let her finish the question.
Do you feel that he is a danger to community in a professional law enforcement way?
Your Honor, objection, he hasn't been qualified as an expert.
Your Honor, I think if,
I'll overrule. You may respond.
go ahead, you can respond.
The
question
at this
was,
point.
do you think he's a danger to society and the community?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, since he and one other person have recently been in custody.
Objection, non-responsive.
I'll sustain. As far as you, after yes.
Yes.
Yes, I believe he's a danger.
Object.
And if he were to be allowed out on bond, would that enhance your awareness to the community for danger to them?
Yes.
Objection, speculation.
I'll pass the witness.
I'll overrule the objection. You may proceed.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay.
You wanted to answer that question or no?
Oh, I thought he hadn't, I thought he
Yeah,
did.
I overrule so he
Okay.
can respond to that last question.
Okay. The last question basically was, would this enhance your awareness of danger to the community if you were allowed to be out on bond?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Pass the witness.
Okay.
Okay,
Mr.
Mr.
Adler, you may
Smith.
proceed.
So you personally arrested Mr. Clemens?
Not personally, no. I've been involved in investigation.
Like on the scene?
On a couple occasions, yes.
All right, what about this most recent time? Were you on the scene then?
No, I was not.
Okay. An unlawful carrying of a weapon, is that a misdemeanor, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, never mind, pass the witness, I'm good.
All right.
Just one clarification question.
All right.
He asked if you were on scene. When you, in your role as a supervisor and investigator, is it primarily your job to go to the scene, or is it to investigate the things once they've happened?
Critical incidents such as shootings, major things such as that, I will respond to the scene. Majority of my job is after incident.
And when you do your after incident investigation, how do you investigate?
Talk to witnesses, compile evidence, evaluate evidence, things of that nature.
So you have basic firsthand knowledge.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no more further questions.
I have one more question.
Okay.
In your knowledge, has Mr. Clemens been indicted on any violent offenses?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, pass the witness.
Go ahead, Your Honor.
Anything further from this? Any other witnesses from the state?
No, Your Honor. Take rest.
I'll turn it there to Mr. Aguilar then.
This time, Your Honor, I call the defendant's mom. She's on here, Kanisha, I believe.
Okay.
You still
Ma'am,
coming?
if you could raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right.
How you doing, ma'am? You doing okay today?
Yes, how are you?
All right. And how do you know Mr. Clemens?
He's my son.
And do you have custody of him?
Yes, I do.
Are you a single parent?
Yes, I am a single parent of 5.
And you heard the officer testify earlier that Mr. Clemens is not in school. Is that correct?
That's not correct. Mr. Clemens been in school. He only have 2 more 11th grade classes to complete this year. He's been virtual ever since the corona hit. So he's been in school. That surprised me when he said that he dropped out in 2018. That's like, what? He was just in the Corsicana newspaper from being the best basketball player. Was it right before the corona? Like, no, he go to school. He's been in school. He's been doing his work.
All right. And so you said that he's in basketball, correct?
Yes, he plays basketball. He's really good in basketball. He really won a scholarship in basketball. And I just really hate that we moved here to Corsicana, because we actually moved here because I had a heart attack. And I didn't want to, and it was hard for me to find a job living in Dallas. So me not knowing anyone here in Corsicana, Carlos, of course, got with the wrong crowd from school. So he met those people, whoever his friends from school. And I hate that he got in that crowd, because he never had a history. He never had any kind of run in with the law, because he's not that person what they paint him out to be. And it just makes me so sad for them to fear for their city, like they say. And he is not that person. I promise you, he's not that person. He is a good kid. He is a respectful kid. He says, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir. He is very respectful. I just don't like the picture that they paint for him. And I really would, just want to get him out of this situation and get him away from Corsicana, because this is not the place for us. And I don't want to be in Corsicana anymore because of that.
And ma'am, did the coronavirus impact him playing basketball at all?
It did, because they couldn't go to practice anymore. They couldn't do anything. It stopped everything.
So he basically had a void, like when it comes to free time. He had more free time because of the coronavirus, correct?
That's when everything started happening, I guess, when they had all the free time, when everybody was out of school. And as far as him being in a shooting, it was only one shooting that I know that he was supposed to be in, and that was that park shooting. He stayed there on the scene and told the police officer what happened, gave them the information to get in touch with us, with him and me. He gave them the information to call. That he stayed in the park that day. No one never called me. No one never came here looking for him or anything. And then all of a sudden, one day, somebody just picked him up saying he wanted for a race, but he was there in the park that day, gave his side of the statement, didn't run, didn't do anything. So he's not even supposed to be in that situation.
And to your knowledge, does Mr. Clemens have appointed counsel?
Say that again.
Does Mr. Clemens have appointed counsel?
Yes, that's you, right?
Yes, ma'am. What I'm getting at, does Mr. Clemens work?
Do he work? No, sir, he don't work.
I mean, his job is to go to school, correct?
Correct. And he was working at Wingstop, but I want him to go to school because I want him to really make it in the NBA, because he is really, he's a tall guy. He's really,
Not a statement.
Ma'am, hold on 1 second. Ms. Schumer, did you, I heard you, but I didn't hear you.
I was just making an objection. She's not answering the question. She's making a statement. There's a question to be asked. I think we need to answer the question, not tell a history of the family.
Okay.
I think there should be a
I'll
legal
sustain.
objection, Your Honor. Okay, I got you. All right, Ms. Clemens, so are you Mr. Clemens' only support source?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you take care of Mr. Clemens financially?
Financially, it's only me. Yes.
And so if they were to raise the bond on Mr. Clemens, would that make it harder for you to get him out and get him in school?
Of course, yes, it will, because I'm the only one working. Like I said, I had a heart attack in 2017.
Perhaps. Hold on one second. Let's
So
reset.
yes,
Hold on. Ma'am, what's your last name? I'm sorry.
Kanisha Baker.
Baker. Okay. Ms. Baker, you may need to repeat what you just said because you
lagged out.
Yeah.
My phone started ringing. I'm sorry, but I was saying yes, it will make it hard because I'm here living in a low income apartment, and like I said, I'm the mother of 5, and I don't want him to be. I really don't want Carlos to get hung up with the system like that. I apologize for him in advance that they feel like the city is in so much of uproar because of him. That's not him. And it's really not him. But yes, it will be hard for me to get him out. But I promise you, if y'all let him get out, I will get him away.
Argumentative.
I'm sorry?
It's an objection argument. She's continuing to answer the question and then ad lib whatever she wants to say.
I'll sustain.
I just wanted to say I wanted to get him away from Corsicana for you guys. You wouldn't have to worry about him ever again. If you do, put him in jail for life, as far as I'm concerned. But I promise you, I will get him away from Corsicana for you.
Okay, ma'am. I sustain the objection sometime. Mr. Aguilar, you have any other questions of this witness?
Sure. And Ms. Baker, are you Mr. Clemens' transportation?
Yes, I am.
So if the court was to impose conditions such as him check in with community supervision every month or so, would you have any problem getting him there to check in?
No.
Okay.
No, sir. But
Okay,
can I say something?
Sorry, ma'am, you can't say. Do you have anything else you'd like to add? I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm just saying, I wouldn't oppose to that, but if they don't want any problem, which I'm not saying that he's going to get them in a problem, because that is just that's just a picture someone is painting about him. He is not that kid. He is a very respectful kid. If you was to know him one-on-one, you wouldn't even think he was getting in this kind of trouble. But I wanted to really get him away from Corsicana. Just get him away from here so that they wouldn't have to worry about him in their community anymore. I'm gonna move away from here so he would, none of us would be here. I will move.
But and just a clarification, if he was to have court, you would make sure that he comes back to court.
I will make sure he come to court, attend all his court appointments and everything. I just don't want him nowhere in Corsicana.
So Corsicana is not a good place for him right now.
It's not a good place. We've been here a year and a half and it's been like hell. Sorry, but yes, and I don't like it. So yes, sir.
And are you
He's
making
been in school ever since he's been here. I don't understand why they're saying he's dropped out of school. We just went to the administrator's office a couple months back and talked to him, and they made sure he's doing his online classes and with his coaching and everything. So I don't understand why they say he's dropped out of school at.
And do you have family in like a nearby city that he could stay at, like Dallas?
I really don't. I really want to go home, but I don't. And that's the reason why I want to get away from Corsicana, because it's only us. It's only us here in Texas, and I don't like it. And I just want to get away.
Okay. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Schumer, any questions of this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Can you tell me where he's going to school at?
He's going to school at Corsicana High School.
Do you know who Scott Stevens is?
Scott Stevens? No, ma'am.
He's the chief that out there at the school that makes sure the kids go to school. Would you be surprised if he sent me a note that said your son dropped out of school
refers evidence not admitted?
I'm not trying to admit anything to evidence. I'm just trying to ask her if she knows her son is in school or not. She's saying he is. I'm asking her, does she know?
She's talking about what Scott Stevens talked about. I mean, she could subpoena Scott Stevens up here.
I'll sustain.
So would it surprise you to find out that your son is not registered in school and not going to school according to the school?
It would surprise me because we just talked to the school this year. We went to the administrative office. Is that here in Corsicana? And yes, ma'am, it would surprise me because
Well,
Like,
according to the
in
school, he's
school.
not in school.
Yes, he is, ma'am.
According to the school, he is not. in-
Objection, referring to evidence not in. I mean, they don't have any
Right,
evidence
because he's
whatsoever. that
in
he's-
school. He's really in school.
Okay,
We
Will,
I'll sustain.
Everybody,
look at the newspaper. He got a
Okay,
damn
ma'am.
newspaper clipping at that
Ma'am.
Corsicana High School.
hello, excuse me. So you think the people that he's hanging around with are the reason that he's in trouble?
I really do. I really do. Carlos never been in no trouble.
So
I
you
really
think,
do.
so you think all of these charges are because he's hanging around the wrong people?
I promise you, I really do think that is what it is. And each time, yeah, okay, yes, ma'am, yes.
So you know that he's been charged in several things that have weapons involved, correct?
Yes, ma'am, but you're saying that you talking like he been in 5 or 6 shootings. He haven't been in no shootings. He was only at one,
Your
and
Honor,
that's
I'm
the
responding.
one in the park.
I'll
Okay,
sustain.
but
So he's charged with unlawfully carrying of a weapon. Are you aware of that?
I am aware of that now, yes. When they arrested him, that's when I was made aware.
And you're aware that there's possible pending charges of an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon for actually shooting somebody?
He did not shoot anybody. He did not shoot.
Are you aware that those charges are out there?
No, I wasn't. But he did not shoot anybody. Like I say, ma'am, he was at the park that day and gave his report that day and gave them my number and his number to get back in touch with me at.
Okay.
I talked to officers that day.
Hang on.
They let him go.
I can't.
Ms. Baker, can you just, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Just respond to the question. If there's follow-up questions, the prosecutor or your son's attorney can elaborate on those. Thank you.
Okay.
So
That's
if your son's allowed out on bond, you're saying you're gonna take him to Dallas?
I want to get him further from Dallas. I really want to get him out of Texas, ma'am. I want to go home where my family is.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Aguilar?
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Baker.
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay. Any other witnesses from either side?
Not from
No,
me,
Your
Your Honor.
Honor.
I'll take closing arguments. Actually, I would order that I can review and not strike that. I was almost at offense report, not offense report, criminal history. And I can review that in addition to the evidence that I've heard here today and take judicial notice of the charging instruments that are in the court's files. So with that, I'll turn over to the state for closing.
Your Honor, it doesn't matter the age of a person when it comes to committing crimes. A crime is a crime no matter what your age is. This young man seems to, whether it's his own choosing to be with the group that he's with, or the circumstances that his mother wants to say are the problem. He's making the choices to be where he's at. He is making the choices to do the things that he's doing. He knows he's out on bond. He knows he has conditions. He knows the rules. And yet he is telling this court by constantly getting in trouble when he's out on bond, I don't care what the court says, I'm going to do what I want to do. He gets out on bond, he goes, does something else. He gets out on bond, he goes, do something else. And each time there's a gun involved. We had a situation where a person was actually shot. And
Objection, referring to things not in evidence.
he's not been.
Objection, Your Honor. Your Honor, can I get a ruling on my objection?
I'll sustain. Proceed.
He hasn't been convicted of anything, Your Honor, but he has been in every situation that has come up, he's there. So it's not like, oh, I just happened to be walking past the park and this situation happened. No, he's in the middle of it. He's in the middle of situations where guns are involved, and he is making a choice to stay with these people that he's around. His mother says she wants to get him out of Texas. Well, Navarre County needs to keep him here in Texas so we can have him face these charges. So the state is saying if the court does give him a bond, that there are very strict restrictions put on him. There needs to be an ankle monitor. He needs to report to probation every day, whether that's by a phone call or in person. He needs to, if he is in school, which according to Corsicana, he is not.
Objection, first offense, not evidence, Your Honor.
It's the same.
If he is supposed to be in school, then that's where he needs to be. He needs to be in his house and have a curfew. And anytime he comes out of his house, it only needs to be to go to school. Nothing else should he be out of his house.
Oh, God.
Okay, Mr. Aguilar?
Contrary to what the state believes, Mr. Clemens is not Al Capone. He is not in every single criminal situation that happens in Corsicana, Texas, Your Honor. And to say that age is not important is the most ridiculous thing I've heard today. Because the only reason he has unlawful carrying a weapon, Your Honor, is because he's underage to have a gun. If he was 21 years old, he would not have unlawful carrying of a weapon, Your Honor. Okay? Mr. Clemens is 17 years old and he needs to be in school. Okay? The coronavirus, gave him a void. He couldn't go play basketball anymore. Well, the coronavirus is wrapping up now. He needs to go back to school. He needs to play basketball and he needs to continue on with his future. Okay? None of these charges are 3G. He doesn't have any aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charges, no murders, nothing whatsoever. All these charges that he has, he is still probation eligible from both a jury and a judge, Your Honor. And I think it's ridiculous that we're here trying to increase the bond on a 17-year-old boy. Okay? It's a matter of months. If his birthday was a little later, he wouldn't even be here. He'd be in juvenile court, Your Honor. There's no black and white in this, Your Honor. We don't just get to 17 and be like, okay, he's a fully adult. He can't even drink. He can't buy cigarettes. Your Honor, age is very important because as we get older, we get wiser, Your Honor. And for that reason, I ask that you deny the state's motion. And he's not even out on bond, Your Honor. So I don't know what bond you're holding sufficient. He's in the jail right now, Your Honor. And like I said, please deny the state's motion. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further from the state?
Your Honor, we're just concerned with the flight risk of him leaving. We're also concerned with him being a danger to the community because of all the gun involvement. And Navarro County does not need this young man to be a headline in the news.
Can I
So
say something?
we're asking that if you do give a bond, that it be with very strict restrictions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, I'll once I get that criminal history, I'll review it and then I'll have a ruling on both cases. Anything further?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Can I say something, Judge?
No, ma'am. The hearing's over with. If you need to talk to Mr. Aguilar, you certainly can. All right.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it.
That concludes this hearing. What about Mr. Dennis?
I tried and the calls didn't go through. I'll tell the court, just to be blunt, Mr. Dennis probably doesn't have two nickels to rub together to make a dime. Now he was able to get on Zoom this morning, but I don't know if he was borrowing a friend's phone or what the situation was. This status hearing, the defense didn't ask for it. To the best of my knowledge, the state didn't ask for it. I'm basing
the court said it.
I understand. And I understand the court needs to keep tabs on this, but our position has never changed. This revocation has misdemeanors that have not been tried in the county court, and we're waiting on a trial date. You could call us in every day from now until probably August or September, and it's going to be the same answer every time. We need to try the misdemeanors first. I would ask, I understand the court's probably going to grant a capias on the motion of the state, but I'd ask for a little bit of time to try and track Mr. Dennis down. Because of his poverty, he has an extremely hard time posting bail to begin with. He has managed to post bail this time around, but I'm worried that if he gets arrested on a capias, it's just going to result in him basically languishing in the jail, waiting for the county court to get around to trying a case, which could be a very long time from now. It just kind of, I can't point to any legal precedent, but it just kind of strikes me as just gut level unfair, Judge. He has reported in the past, and I believe he reports to the best of his financial ability. It's just this one, I can't seem to get a hold of him.
Well, let me go ahead and get his name called 3 times, and we'll go from there. We'll go on the record in D39522, State versus Dalton Dennis, and I have counsel for both sides present, and this defendant's name will be called 3 times. The court set this for a status hearing on this case, and we'll wait for.
Your Honor, if you want.
I'm sorry?
If you want to go ahead and issue the warrant, but we can, because Mr. Beecham is so adamant that his client is trying, he was here earlier this morning, if he can report by noon tomorrow to the court or something, and then if he doesn't, then, issue the capias.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought. There's been no response from Mr. Dennis, and just so the record's clear, there's no other individuals in the waiting room on this Zoom call. So with that, and I think Mr. Beecham, you've indicated you've tried to get in touch with your client, and you haven't had luck with that. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, for the record, because I don't believe what I just said was on the record. Mr. Dennis, I believe, lives in pretty abject poverty. I saw him on a Zoom call in a different court this morning at 8:30 a.m. for a while. I don't know that he owns a phone that's sophisticated enough to be on Zoom. I suspect that he probably borrowed that phone from someone else, and maybe that's why I'm not able to get in touch with him now and why he's not here. He does have a proven tendency to show up to court when he's able to. It's just he's not always able to. I would ask the court you've already shown leniency, Your Honor, but I would ask the court for more leniency, just because this is a young man who I genuinely believe would be here if he was able to. And further, the status of this case has not changed at all in the months that it's been pending. We are waiting on a county court misdemeanor trial. And with all due respect to Judge Davenport, that court is notorious for taking far, far too long to bring cases to trial. I am concerned that if Mr. Dennis is arrested because of his failure to appear today, it will result in someone living in the Navarro County Jail on the taxpayer dime for no good reason for well over a year for a misdemeanor. That strikes me at a policy level and just a kind of a gut level as shockingly unfair. And so I know the court needs to be consistent from client to client or defendant to defendant, but I would urge the court to just consider all that. And if there is any room for additional leniency to grant it to Mr. Dennis.
I have a note here from, just a little over a year ago that there was a pending sexual assault case on this individual. Am I getting, hopefully my notes are correct.
That case was dismissed by the district attorney's office after the alleged victim. I don't know what was in the affidavit on prosecution that she submitted to them, but I know when I spoke to her, she was adamant that it was consensual sex. And that the police filed those charges against her explicit statement that it was consensual.
But
Right. In that case, the state did dispose of that case.
Okay. All right. Motion for bond forfeitures granted. KP solution amount of $5,100. I'll hold it till 5 p.m. tomorrow. He needs to appear in the courthouse, and I will make eye contact with him, and then hopefully we can have a status but I need to have that status present with Mr. Dennis present, so.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, that concludes this hearing. Thank you.
Have an excuse, Ron.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You too.
May we be, thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
She couldn't wait to make her appearance.
She just loves her some me.
I can tell.
Is that it? Are we through for the day?
Yeah, I think so.
You can't find anyone else?
No, but I've got some rulings to make, so I guess that'll occupy the rest of the day.
Okay. All righty. We will see y'all hopefully tomorrow.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too, Judge.
Take care.
All right.
Do what?